We're at a very dangerous level of dehydration. It can actually be to the point that it becomes the heat stroke that people tend to talk about, okay? Because you have literally, your organs are so overheated, they just say, not doing it anymore. And the best thing you do is get that person cooled down. Not so fast, though, that it really does cause some other issues. But you need to get that person cooled down. Yeah, you ever see somebody out in the heat and everything, not sweating? Yeah, put them inside. So you got to go into the air conditioning, you know, because that could become bad. So if we have these hormones where I've got these controls of so many different functions within my body, one of the things that I've been trying to point out is the connection between my hypothalamus and that pituitary gland. Because and believe me, for a long time, it was thought that the pituitary gland really was a control. But we now know that the hypothalamus, which is a primitive portion of my brain, has control. It is up to the pituitary gland to carry out the information. So if we look at our hypothalamus, where we find a close connection to other areas of the brain, we've got the connections to my cerebrum. I've got connections to my brainstem. This information from the hypothalamus to the pituitary is based on the conditions of my body. What's happening on the inside as well as what's happening on the outside. Because it has to pay attention to, for example, the amount of sweat that might be occurring if I'm in a hot environment. And that would be something to the outside. Something to the inside would be based upon what is the level of a chemical in my blood. Because it's the areas of the brain that are monitoring this. We've got so many control centers in the brain. We've got control centers that are, and remember, based upon levels in the blood. Okay? So it's monitoring what's happening with my pH, what's happening with the blood gases, what is happening with those electrolytes. What do you remember about the importance of the electrolytes?
Important for carrying nerve signals.
Need them for carrying nerve signals. Hydration will affect their levels, like are we going to have enough of them or not?
It's the salt in our cells.
That's how we can think of it. Do what? Okay, and what else runs in the body on electricity besides the nerves?
The heart.
The heart, which is what type of?
Cardiac muscle.
And so what else?
Oh, the other muscles.
The other muscles of the body. Those electrolytes, all right, that we talk about, for the energy. Those electrolytes, if you think about the fact that they're going to help, or they're a huge part of nerve conduction, but also muscle contraction. Is there anything that I've pretty much missed throughout the body? No. Okay? Because it includes skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, and smooth, my organs. Okay? So it's going to be important that levels of all these chemicals stay within acceptable ranges. These production of these chemicals, do you guys remember negative feedback? I think it goes all the way back to chapter 1.
That was Bio 101 for me.
Well, Bio 101, but for us in 141, it goes all the way back to chapter 1, I think. What do you know about negative feedback?
You try to bring anything that's out of control back to normal, or just try to decrease, I guess.
It tries to bring things that are out of balance back to their normal levels because it maintains homeostasis. The way that the body maintains homeostasis is with negative feedback. Anytime positive feedback kicks in, positive feedback feeds the cycle. It increases it. So negative feedback is responsible for homeostasis. Because these hormones have a target organ, a target cell, they operate for control based on negative feedback. Positive feedback feeds the cycle, meaning it increases whatever's happening. Negative feedback controls homeostasis. So let's think about a couple. We're going to look at them all. But there were 2 hormones that I mentioned that the body needs pretty much all the time. Growth hormone, thyroid hormone. Growth hormone, like you guys told me on Tuesday, we tend to associate that with the time of growth. Itty bitty baby is born, grows, reaches puberty, goes to their full height, boom, we're done. And a lot of times people tend to think that's it. We no longer need the growth hormone. Growth hormone, yes, even though very important in fetal growth, it does way more. It's something that's needed throughout your entire life. It does slow down. It does not have a target organ. It has widespread effects because it will affect muscle, it will affect bone, it will affect smooth muscle, it will affect all over the body because of what it does. For example, it will help with promoting mitosis. When do we need mitosis? All the time. Because cells need to carry out their job, and if it's a cell of the body, needs to duplicate or repair, growth hormone helps with that. One of the things about growth hormone, it induces the liver to secrete what we know as growth stimulants. IGFs. Ever heard of it? Insulin-like growth factors. IGFs. Guess what? People can be deficient in IGFs. You're going to see stuff like IGF-2, IGF-3. Each one of them has a particular job to do. Yes, very important in the growth of the offspring. Children who may be deficient in them may have to go get transfusions on a regular basis. Because they are not making them, it is affecting something in their development. So the liver, under normal conditions, does this. It secretes them, offspring grows, develops normally. We still have them as we get older. Look what the IGFs do. Promotes protein synthesis. What is that? It's what?
Protein making.
It makes the protein. What is the only thing a cell can make?
Protein.
Protein. Oh, I don't know about y'all. That's pretty important. How about lipid metabolism?
The ability to break down fats.
Well, now, the ability to break them down is going to fall under the digestive system. The metabolism would be our making sure they go to the spots that they need to go. All right? If we don't use it within the cell, for example, to make a phospholipid bilayer, all right, chances are we're going to store it in the fat cells. Does that make sense? Okay. Carbohydrate metabolism, which is also going to include glucose sparing. Any idea what that might mean?
Storage of sugar.
I thought it'd be like that.
All right, carbohydrate metabolism. Carbs, the sugars, specifically glucose. That is the only sugar the brain can use. It is the only molecule the brain can use as food. The body does everything possible to make sure the brain gets glucose.